Hi there, within this video we're going to look at the Send tab on the left hand side here. So within the Send tab you've got the ability to preview, send a test and also send to your mailing list. And before you send a test or send to your mailing list, what you might want to do is go over to the more advanced sending options such as the inbox preview, as that will show you how your email looks in around 14 different email clients. Also you've got the A/B testing tool, which allows you to test different subject lines or different newsletter designs to see which one generates the best outcome. Of course you've got the option to send to a segment, which is essentially sending to the targeted list that you created through segmentation. Also, if you're going to be sending to more than one list at one time, then you're better off using this multiple list send option, because what that'll do is it'll deduplicate any contacts that are in more than one list when you do go to send, so they'll only receive it just the once as desired. You've also got the autoresponders there as well, so if you want to schedule the email to go out at a specific date and time, or if you want to continue the communication with your subscribers, because you can actually set it up so when someone opens the email that you're about to send out, if they open it, then that can trigger off another email to send, or if they click on a particular link, again another email can be sent via the autoresponder. So that's just some of them. I will go into more detail in a few minutes time, but first we're going to look at this preview screen which we're on at the moment. So the most important section of this screen is the mailing list area where you've selected. So use the drop down menu to select whatever mailing list you would like to look at. So for example, this one at the moment, because we're in this mailing list, we're looking at the user example12 at yourdomain.co.uk. So this is exactly how the email is going to be received by that recipient if they were to view it. You've also got the newsletter folder, which is important just to select the one that you want, and of course the newsletter which we've selected there. You can use the search option there if you want to search for a different user rather than that example12 at yourdomain.co.uk, then you can do that. So because we know it's linked to that email address, if we scroll down on this preview, the major benefit is that we'll see the personalization working. So we can see there it says "Hi Jake." That is purely the personalization that's putting that information in. If we scroll down to the bottom of the screen and we go next, we'll notice at the top here it changes from being example 12 and it'll go over to a different email address. So we can see it's example 21 now, which is second out of the 8 contacts that are in that list. And if we scroll down again, we can see that the personalization is filled in that information for that particular user. So instead of saying "Hi Jake," it now says "Hi Mark." So it's a very simple way to test the personalization that you've got going on in your email. Of course, personalization doesn't have to just be limited to the first name. It can be added into any data that you've got. So it might be the last product that they bought, their location. If you want to include images, like dynamic images for maps to specific stores when you're sending to people that are in a specific area, then you can do all of that within the system. It's very easy to do. So once you've looked at the personalization within that preview and you know it's working, the next step is to basically send yourself a test. So the way to do that is over to the left hand side here, go to send a test, and within this section you can send yourself an email. So if we put in some example email addresses here, you can see that I've used a comma, because by using the comma it'll actually allow me to send to more than one list, more than one email address. Also within the test sends, it doesn't take any of your credits. It allows you to send up to 50 free test sends a day, so you can use this option. The next stage is the from address, so that can be chosen via the drop down menu, or if you want a new one you can click on the green circle. By doing that it'll allow you to use the from address that you want the recipient to see, and of course if they reply to it then it'll go to that email address. Now you've got the from name. Quite often or not it's going to be the company name that you would put, and also in the subject line you might have it like monthly newsletter, or of course you might want it to be a bit more enticing than that, but you can put it in, obviously test what you like. The next option is to select the folder where the newsletter is held, and also select the newsletter itself. So we're going to change that over, and in the preview at the bottom we can see once it has changed we can make sure that's the right one. So we can see again the personalization is there still at the bottom. Obviously it doesn't display in this screen, which is why you need to preview it first. Now you have got the option to send a text version only, so if you want to do that you just tick the box and then send and then that'll show you the text only version that you've created. Now before sending this test out, an important step is to check the spam score rating of your newsletter. Now the way you do that is just by clicking on that check spam score button, and it will show you how the spam score rating is on your particular newsletter. It'll take into account of the from name and the subject line as well. So if, for example, you're using all capital letters in that subject line, then that would certainly flag up, and it'll give you some advice on how to reduce the spam score to make sure it doesn't go in that junk mail, it lands directly into the inbox. Once you're happy with that, you just click send a test, and then as I said, that would go to those 2 addresses that you've placed up the top, or any others that you would like to include. If we go over to send to mailing list on the left hand side here, this is where it allows you to send to one particular mailing list only, and you would just select again the same kind of information. So you need to put in the send details here, but you do get a bit more information. So if we're looking over here, we go to the mailing list, so that's the new one. You can see on the right hand side it's got a total of 8 email addresses in, and it also previews the email addresses in there, so you can see that they are correct. You've got the from email address again, so you just use the drop down menu to select the one you want. You've got the from name, so you can put in the company name again, or whatever name you would like, and then you've also got this section in here as well. Now one of the options, as you'll notice on the right hand side, is to personalize that subject line or the from name. So if I click on that button there, we can actually include some personalization. So if we want to include the first name again, so I'll just highlight that code there, and then I can just copy it, come off here, and then we'll just put Jake, your monthly newsletter is here. Right, so that's just going to put in the first name. For example, mine will be Jake, and then I'll say your monthly newsletter is here. Again, for anybody else, it'll fill in their name and automatically populate it. It does help to try and put in personalization in the subject line, as it kind of entices them to read and obviously open up the email in full, and hopefully attracts their eye to actually view your email rather than just binning it or just ignoring it. So you've got the folder again option down here and the newsletter, so you can go to example newsletter there, and again in the preview you can see that the newsletter is displaying, so we can make sure it's the right one. Now you will notice that you get some other additional options here, so you can attach files or embed images. When you embed images, it'll actually show the images automatically, so the person won't need to download any images, which normally email clients will have images of by default, so they have to click on a button. If you do embed images or add any attachments, it will be 100 kilobytes each for each credit being used, so the credits will increase over in this credit allocation calculator there. The other option is to send a text only version. We don't need to do that, because once you've got the HTML version, which is one you're seeing now with the colours and the images, if you've got a text only version as well, our system will automatically try and send the HTML version first. If for whatever reason the recipient cannot accept it, then at that point the text only version is sent in its place. So it's always important that you do have both options available. Again, just before sending, you can check the spam score of your newsletter, and then of course just click send, and then at that point it'll ask you if you want to send, just to confirm, and then obviously send it out. As it's a test mailing list, we're not going to actually send it out. We're just going to move over to some of the more advanced options. Now if I start from the bottom here, so if you didn't want to just send an email out, you can actually check the inbox preview first, which is always a good idea. This is going to show you how the email looks in around 14 different email clients. So you can click to create a new preview, put whatever one you want, in the subject line, new email, and just click send. That's automatically going to start pending, and after around 5 to 10 minutes it'll display. I'll go into this preview one and just see which one and what this newsletter looked like, just to give you an example. So in here we can see that it shows you the different outlooks, it shows you AOL. If we scroll down we can see other options there, as well as the iPhone and the iPad. So you can see exactly how it's going to look in those different email clients to make sure that it is going to be perfect for everybody that does receive it. Now if I move over to the A/B testing section on the left hand side there, This, as I said earlier, allows you to create a new test where you can try different subject lines and try different newsletter designs. So with the newsletter designs, you might want to try having different links. So you might want to have buttons or images as links rather than just text links. You might have a lot of content at the top and then some further down, and just try different things to see what actually works with your subscribers. Again, with the subject line, maybe personalize one of the subject line options and try different wording. Make sure that the important words are at the front, and bear in mind that a lot of people will be opening the emails on a mobile, so try and keep the subject line to a minimum. When you are creating a new test, you just click on new test on the right hand side there, and then the first thing that you need to do is just name that test. So at the top we're just going to call it example test, that's fine. And we've got the newsletters that we can test, but in this scenario I want to just move over to the subject lines. So in the subject lines I've still got that code pasted and copied from previous subject lines. So I'm going to put in first name, your newsletter is here, and the other one might just be monthly newsletter, or something like that. And again, it can be as sort of different as you want, and you can add more subject lines in there as well. When you've selected those subject lines that you want to use, just go down to select the folder where the newsletter's in, select the example newsletter. You can also preview it via the magnifying glass there. And again, you've got the option to put in a name, so just be company name. Select the email address that you're going to be sending from, or just add a new one in there to, if you haven't got one in there at the moment. You've got the mailing list, so if you want to do it to the new mailing list that we created. You've got the date and time where you can schedule the autoresponder, the A/B testing tool to start. So again, if you want it to start today and maybe we want to go at 3 o'clock on the dot, then we can do that. And again, this is going to set the percentage of the mailing list that it's actually sending to. So if we can go to 10% or 20 or as high as you want really. And then you've got the subject as winner by. So with the subject lines, usually you would have it as the most opens, because the subject line is the thing that's going to attract the user to actually open up the email. If you were to use the newsletter designs, then you might want to move over to the clicks and do the most clicks. At the bottom here, we've got the option to actually automate the sends to go to the remainder of your list, or just do it manually yourself. And again, you've got the option to compare the results after a certain length of time. So I'm not going to save that because it's just a test to show you how it works. So if we move over to the multiple list send, and this allows you to add in more than one list when you do actually go to send, and as I said earlier, it'll automatically deduplicate the contacts in there. So if one person is in more than one list, then they're still only going to receive it once. So the way you select the options up here is just hold down Control on your keyboard and then just click on the ones you want. Update totals, and then on the right hand side here we'll see that the totals have been updated. So it was 8 and it's obviously now 8 again, just because it's automatically deduplicated those contacts. Again, you've got the from name, you've got the from reply email address, subject line in here again, and that you can put in just down there. You've got the personalization that you can put in again if you want to. So if you want to have it so it says first name. Again, you've got the newsletter where you select the folder and the newsletter itself. You've got the options to attach files if you want to, and also you've got the option down here to embed images as well. Again, you can check the spam score, and once you're ready, just click that send to mail selected lists at the top there, and it's going to send that those details over to that list. Okay, so the final one I want to show you real quick is just the autoresponders on the left hand side here. So I'm not going to go into each one, but I would like to just explain how each of them work. So the first one is send a welcome email to your subscribers. So if you have got a newsletter on your subscription form, if you've got a subscription form on your website, sorry, and you want to have an incentive on there, maybe give them a discount or something along those lines, then you can have the email, the welcome email, sent as soon as someone signs up to that particular subscription form. You've got the option to schedule an email going out at a specific date and time. You've got the follow-up ones, both the opens and the clicks, where if someone opens an email or clicks on a link, another email can be sent. You've got the happy birthday or anniversary one in there as well, so it's depending on the date that's inputted. And also you've got the unsubscribe one, so if someone does unsubscribe in error, you can send them an email to say they've done that, and so on. So those are the sending options here. I hope it's been helpful.